This is going to be the longest video I'm going to do because I think people are having the most trouble with circles. So I figure what I'm going to do is let me show you how to get to a 70. At any point, feel free to fast forward through this. You don't have to watch this from beginning to end. Pause, come back to it, and look for a problem that's similar, and then we'll kind of go from there. So here's what I'm going to look at. On my formula sheet, this is on Classroom. This is my formula sheet on the bottom left. These are the only formulas you need, the circular formulas, circle formulas. Area, and then two different ones for circumference. And we'll talk about that as they come up. So what I'm going to do is start here, and I'm going to say, okay, this problem is asking me to find the circumference. The diameter of the circle is 2. What's the circle's circumference? So if I look at this, I'm going to say there's two different formulas here, 2 pi r or pi d for circumference. So since it's giving me the diameter, I'm going to use the one with diameter, and here's what it's going to look like. So I want to sit there and figure out and say, listen, so circumference is going to equal pi times d. That's my formula. Now I want to plug in everything that I know. I don't know what the circumference is, right? And so now it's going to equal to, I know pi is 3.14, so I can say 3.14, and I know diameter is 2, so that's going to be times 2. Remember, there's a multiplication sign between two variables if you don't know what they are. So all that is right there is going to be a calculator problem. So I'm going to put 3.14 times 2 in my calculator. And so here I'm going to sit there and say 6.28. Next problem, again circumference, again diameter. So I'm going to use that same formula on the bottom, C equals pi d. All right, so very similar. So I'm going to sit there and say circumference equals pi d. Notice every time I'm starting off with the formula. I'm writing that formula down. So now the circumference, they give it to me right here. So now C is 31.4. So I'm going to start with 31.4 equal to, I know that pi is 3.14, and then I have d. So now, keep in mind that means multiplication again. So now if I want to get d alone, I'm going to figure out how do I get rid of what's with d. So since 3.14 is being multiplied, I'm going to divide both sides by pi. When I do that, it's going to give me the answer of 10. So my diameter is 10. So now I can come back, come here. My diameter is going to be 10. I'm so scared I'm going to get one wrong. Now they're giving me radius is 2. So I'm going to use a different formula. I'm going to use this formula right there. That's C equals 2 pi r. So I'm going to sit here and say, okay, let's look at this. It's a little bit longer. And you can use the other formula, but you don't have to. So C equals 2 times pi times r. So I don't know the circumference. I know what 2 is, times 3.14 times, I'm running out of space, times 2. So that becomes a calculator problem because C is already alone. So now the other side is just 2 times 3.14 times 2, and that's going to give me 12.56. All right, so now I'm at 28. This problem, again, it actually gets easier here. So we probably need much explanation, but diameter for a second. Here's the diameter. The diameter goes all the way across the circle, right? I missed that circle, right? Missed the center, right? So it goes all the way across, whereas radius only goes halfway across. So what happens is if you know one of those, you know the other. So in this problem is, since diameter is going to be 8, the radius is going to be half of that. So I'm just going to put 4, and that's all I need there. No formulas there. Circumference again, right? So, and they want the radius. So I'm going to use that formula again with the radius. So I'm going to come back, say C equals 2 pi r. So circumference is 12.56. I'm really running out of space now. So 2 times 3.14. Ah, I messed that all up. Let's try to have a little more space here. 12.56 equals 2 times 3.14 R. So this one's, I want to know what R is. So this one gets a little tougher, people. So what happens is here, R, next to R is 2 and 3.14. So some students like to divide by 2 and then divide by 3.14. You can do that easily, right? Some students like to sit there and say, Mr. Hyde, can I do 2 times 3.14? We can. So I could sit there and erase that for a second and say 2 times 3.14 is 6.28. And I can change that to 6.28. So now all I want to do is get R by itself. So I'm going to divide by 6.28. All right, and that becomes a calculator problem. 12.56 divided by 6.28. And that's going to give me an answer of 2. All right, so here my answer is going to be 2. That one's probably one that gives people the most difficulty. Again, here's a nice one. The diameter is 4. So what's the radius? Remember, the diameter is all the way across. Radius is half. So half of 4 is 2. The radius is 1. What's the circle's area? So this is what students really don't like. So area, pi r squared. All right? So this is where students get a little tripped up. So let's look at this for a minute. So area is going to be this. Area is going to equal pi r squared. This is the same thing as saying pi times r times r. Remember, square means times itself. So big thing is don't say times 2. All right? So here, area is going to equal 3.14 times 1 times 1. Well, and that's kind of easy because times 1 times 1 is a little by itself. But I can become a calculated problem. So here, 3.14 times 1 times 1 is going to be my answer. And that's where I'm going to get down here, 3.14. And that's going to be my answer there. All right. Again, the circumference, I think we've done that before. So if you want to go back and look at that one later, you can. All right. So I'm going to just do this real quick on my calculator. Divided by 2, divided by 3.14. The answer is going to be 1 here. So again, I would definitely go back if that's messing you up. Diameter, we've done that one too. I'd go back if they give you the circumference, try to figure out the diameter. So the answer is going to be 6. Now we're at a 64. The diameter of a circle is 6. What's the circle's area? So again, there's my area formula again. Let's look at this one. This gets a little weird. So it's pretty much just like the one we just did. R squared. The difference now is they don't give us the radius. They only give us the diameter. But that means the radius is going to be 3. So here, I'm just going to sit here and say area is going to equal 3.14 times 3 times 3. And that becomes a calculator problem. So 3.14 times 3 times 3 is going to give me 28.26. Now, again, keep in mind the big thing here is the fact that it says diameter is 3 or 6. So therefore, the radius is 3. So that's the only part that makes that problem a little tricky. And so 28.26. And now I'm at 68. The radius is 3. What's the diameter? Remember, the radius is half of the diameter. So the diameter is always bigger. So now that answer is going to be 10. So that got me to a 72. I know this is not great, and I know some of you are gonna be like, "You went by this so fast. You go so quick." Um, Feel free to pause the video, sit there and like take a screenshot of it. Anything you want, anything you do. If you don't know how to screenshot with a Chromebook, it's the control button and it's the six button in. It's got like a little square with two lines. All right, and if you press those two buttons, it'll save a copy to your Chromebook, and you can email me that picture going, I don't get this one. Um, so if you have questions with these, feel free to let me know. Anything I can do,